And welcome in to another episode of Off Script. My name is Zak Herbstreit. And Michigan fans, there's been some chatter out there. I've been seeing it a little bit on Twitter, message boards here and there, like going on there just to get the general pulse of the fan bases throughout the country. But I've been seeing the question, is Michigan currently in a rebuilding era? And when I look at and I hear that, I'm like, what? That's preposterous. Like, how could you even say that? But before we get into it today, if you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed the channel, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel as well. It really helps me out a lot, so I appreciate you guys. But let's get into that a little bit more. When you hear that question, rebuilding era with Michigan football next to each other, you're like, what? Like, no. That's not even remotely true. But then you look a little bit into the fine print and just get a little more into the details. Obviously, Michigan right now, estimated win total is 8.5, which is not the standard for Michigan football. Usually it's around 10, 11 wins. Blue blood program, like, that's so seeing 8.5 on a sports book right now, you're like, what the? Okay, maybe. Hard games at Oklahoma, Indiana, at Ohio State, at Oregon. So not an easy schedule. We've talked about the schedule before. Also, the addition of a new coaching staff. You got Kyle Whittingham coming in from Utah. Got a new offensive coordinator, Jason Beck from Utah. Also, new defensive coordinator, Jay Hill from BYU. So complete and utter shakeup. It's going to be a brand new offensive scheme, brand new defensive scheme. So I see there's a valid point of being like, is there a rebuild? Like, I understand that. But my thoughts on this question, no. There's not a rebuild here, and that's just the short answer. But let's get into it a little bit more. The coaching staff is so experienced. Kyle Whittingham is one of the winningest coach in Utah history. He even had a winning record 17 out of the 20 seasons he was at Utah, so brings a track record of success to this Michigan program. Also, Jason Beck's offense in 2025 averaged 266 rushing yards per game, 483 total yards per game, so going to have an extremely successful offense as well. And then also the defense. Jay Hill coached this BYU team that was number 10 ranked defense in turnovers, so going to get the ball back on defense. So when I hear this, like, hey, these coaches, they're not going to, like, it's going to be new coaches, Big Ten ball, like, this is going to be different for them. It's all the same ball at the end of the day. Like, I don't think it's going to be such a switch up for these guys. Plus, they're probably dealing with better talent. So, if anything, those numbers are going to go up, in my opinion. So, that's where I'm at with the coaching staff and this whole, is Michigan going to be, rebuilt? I don't think it's going to be a rebuild under these coaches, just because of their track record of success and what their mindset going into the season. They're already assuming success. They're assuming that we're going to be successful year one. We don't have any, ideas of setbacks or like, hey, 8 wins and we're good. No. They're wanting to win championships, which you got to respect going into year one. And I already talked about this a little bit, but going into the talent that this Michigan team has here, starting off with Bryce Underwood, QB1 here, going into year 2 at Michigan, year 1 under Jason Beck. So will be interesting to see kind of what wrinkles and what kind of overall opportunities Jason Beck has for Underwood. I feel like last year this coaching staff really didn't give Underwood the opportunity to kind of run the ball. I feel like they were really inhibiting him in a way where it was just, he's more of a pocket passer. But I feel like if you watch him in high school and watch him when he's at his best, running the ball is in his bag of tricks. Like he is a runner at heart also. So I think showing that somehow and, getting some kind of, QB draw plays in there or, just the ability to showcase what he has, improvisation, getting out. I just think that would be a huge, huge step up for Underwood this upcoming year. Another thing I want to talk about here is the receiver core. Andrew Marsh is coming back, who was a reliable target for Underwood last year, but also have French coming in from Texas, transfer from Texas, and also Buchanan from Utah. So good to see that position room kind of get leveled up a little bit. More depth of that position room is going to be big for this upcoming year. And then I want to talk about the O-line too. A lot of depth at that position. I think that's usually the bread and butter of this Michigan team. I feel like for the most part, it kind of all runs through the O-line. So if the O-line is stout and ready to go, then the whole team kind of like gels together. Because you look at that 2023 Michigan team, I mean, that O-line was a tight-knit group, and the whole team ran through them. And that was the reason why they were so successful. Led by Zach Zinter. I mean, he was a dog. But, yeah, I'm really excited to kind of see what transpires throughout the O-line room there. I mean, I know there's a few guys coming back, but got some transfers coming in, got a couple new early enrollees that have the opportunity to maybe make, case for themselves to be like, hey, Coach, I can play here too. Like, I'm a big body. I can get in, I can play. And I want to switch it up and look at the defense here. And this is a direct quote from Jay Hill. He said, the defensive line should definitely be one of our strong suits. And when I hear that quote, as a Michigan fan as well, when you hear that quote, you should be thinking, yes. Because last year they were good, but not compared to the years prior and before that, because I feel like good Michigan teams always have just an absolutely nasty D-line. So that is promising if they're one of the strongest units on the entire team. I love to hear that. Moving on here, I want to talk about the corners led by Jair Hill and Zeke Berry. Currently, from what I've heard so far in spring ball, making a good impression early on. That's such an important position, especially in the Big Ten. So having depth there, it's going to be interesting to see like what young guy really comes up and throws his name in the hat to potentially start maybe at that nickel position. So interesting for that. But the main question mark I have this year for defense is the linebackers. Really kind of inexperienced, young groom, a lot of departures in that room. So really interested to see kind of who shows up. Right now, Jay Hill is saying they're confident with the guys they have. They're just inexperienced. They just need to get experience under their belt, which, for a lot of teams, that's going to be true. And I think it might, there might be a little learning curve for the first couple of games. And, I think Oklahoma's week 2 or week 3. So it's going to be, you got to be, ready to play now. That's a big game to win. You got to win that one. But I'm optimistic about it. And like at the end of the day, it's, you're a linebacker at Michigan. You're there for a reason. I have faith that they'll put you in a good spot to succeed. But to solidify my point, that the whole overarching point of this video, which the question was, is Michigan currently in the rebuilding area? This is a paraphrase from Jay Hill from his presser. He said, we're building a culture. We're building an identity we want to have. So is it a rebuild in that? Yes. But do we expect to be good in year 1? Absolutely. So there it is right there. That's from the defensive coordinator himself. Is there technically a rebuild when you talk about culture and rebuilding like overall team structure? Sure. But as a rebuild, as a program, as an overall university, like being good overall, by no means I don't think it's anywhere near a rebuild. Just because of the coaching staff that they're right now and the talent that's on the roster, I don't think there's such thing as a rebuild for Michigan. But Michigan fans, let me know what you guys think. Let me know your expectations heading into this upcoming season. I know spring ball's on the way, so there's a lot of hype out there. I know there's basketball going on too, so even drop some basketball knowledge in there. I want to hear it all. But like I said, my name's Zak Herbstreit. This is Off Script. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video. I'll see you guys soon.